Hi, this is Mrs. McConnell. Over the course of the year, I'm going to present short little podcasts on issues that I see in your writing. This is the first, and it's about making and supporting a claim. So far, you've written a few short essays, really a sentence that makes a claim, followed by another sentence that backs that claim with support from your readings or videos. You're going to write similar short essays on your first unit tests, which makes this a good time to consider what's the difference between a claim and supporting evidence. Well, the difference is not always clear-cut, as we'll see in a minute, but in essence, a claim is a general statement that can be debated. In other words, it's something that there are two sides. Support is evidence that your claim is true. In other words, support for your side of a debate. So, for example, to turn to one of the issues that you considered in your short essays, you might claim that the plague weakened social ties in Europe. That truly is a debatable claim, and there is evidence on both sides. So, for example, we know from the Boccaccio reading that neighbors avoided each other and that family members abandoned each other. But you should also remember from the video that new brotherhoods of flagellants formed in response to the plague. So those are examples of supporting evidence for and against the claim. In your recent assignment about the plague, again, you read Boccaccio's memoirs of how the plague changed the lives of people in Florence. And your assignment was to make claims about how the plague changed people's behavior and then support those claims. So consider this quote from your reading. What claim does it support? Again, the quote, some formed small communities living entirely separate from everybody else, shut themselves up, etc. Well, a few students answered very generally that people acted differently. That's not really a claim. It's a restatement of the prompt, and I usually did not give you credit for that. What I saw more often, and I did actually give credit for this, was an overly narrow restatement of the passage. So after reading the passage reproduced on this slide, many students wrote as a claim that some people formed separate communities and indulge themselves. Again, I didn't take points off for this answer because it is a claim, but it would be much stronger to make the more general claim that the plague caused social isolation or that the plague led people to find ways to escape reality. And then you could use this quote as a specific piece of evidence or support for this somewhat broader claim, which really tells you more about the period than just reproducing this quote. So here's another quote. Yes, your claim could be that the plague led people to drink too much, but many things lead people to drink too much, football games, whatever. This information would work better as support for a more general claim. A good claim, for example, would be that the plague broke down rules of morality. Drinking to excess, or entering a stranger's house without an invitation, or failing to lend aid to neighbors, all would be good support for a claim that the basic rules of morality in medieval society were falling apart due to the plague. In another assignment, you were asked how gunpowder undermined the old feudal order. And I got a lot of answers that basically said, well, gunpowder killed a lot of people. Well, certainly that's true, but it's not a strong claim. Remember that the question is looking for changes in the feudal order. So it's a question about the relationship between the people who pray, the people who work, and the people who fight. Knights on horseback killed a lot of people, as did gunpowder. Sieges that starved castle residents killed a lot of people. Obviously, the plague killed a lot of people. What made gunpowder such a threat to feudalism was that cannon could quickly destroy fortified castles. Now, knights and nobles were relying on those castles, or had up until this period, basically to maintain their power base. Once it was easy to destroy those castles, then it increased the power of kings to force nobles to do what they wanted, and of peasants to achieve more freedom from nobles. Similarly, and this was another question for those of you who took the makeup quiz, how did gunpowder change the relations between Europe and the world? Again, I got general answers that gunpowder was destructive, which is too weak and too general. What was significant about gunpowder in terms of the relationship between Europe and the world is the Europeans had gunpowder and had figured out how to use it in weapons, and otherwise strong civilizations outside Europe had not made that advance. So support for that would be, for example, that the Cortez conquered the mighty Aztec Empire with fewer than 1,000 soldiers, or the Pizarro conquered the mighty Inca Empire with fewer than 200 soldiers. So again, and I realize this can be a little complicated, a claim is not so general as to be uninformative or meaningless, but not so specific that it's really would better serve as support for a somewhat more general claim. Hope this helps. Good luck on your test.